While everybody else focuses on the delay part of today's breaking news, I'm going to focus on what it means for the next Switch, because I have such a strong feeling that this was done with the Switch Pro in mind. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. I know some of you hate the Switch Pro talk, but it's going to factor in to 2023, because look, the Switch just needs more power, and there are games coming that really need that extra hardware juice. And today's breaking news just shows that something nefarious is at foot. Something indeed, but I'll fill you all in. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Hit that like button if you enjoy the show. Let me know if you agree or think I'm a crazy person in the comments down below. I want to kick it off by congratulating Sonic Frontiers for pushing 2.5 million copies worldwide. They just announced their first big sales milestone. That's pretty good. 2.5 million copies for Sonic's first open zone adventure. It's more fun than good, and it's honestly better than I expected. I had a nice 180 on Sonic Frontiers. I was so smitten that Sonic Frontiers and Pokemon Scarlet, two games that I worried could be awful, were two of the most enjoyable experiences I had on Switch. How wild and weird is that? What does it say about my tastes? I don't know. It says that I like fun. I think I prioritize fun. And if you want to have some fun, Nintendo just dropped their 2022 year in review. So you got to go to Nintendo's website and log in, and it'll provide you with all these fun stats showing the games you played most, how many different games you played, yada yada. If you're into that sort of thing, I know people love like the Spotify roundup or the Apple Music roundup. This is the Switch's version. Nintendo bringing you a roundup, and you can see how many hours of your life you poured into Pokemon this year, probably. I mean, some of you still Animal Crossing or Splatoon, but probably Pokemon. Also, Bayonetta. We talked about Bayonetta, and I made sort of a dicey proclamation that I'm sort of done with the franchise. I don't know that we need more Bayonetta games on Switch, but of course Bayonetta Origins is coming in March, and Kamiya now says we can make 9 of them. Yep, he thinks Bayonetta will never end. He says that they could make 9 Bayonettas. So 3, we're only 33% of the way there, baby. And that's not even including spin-offs. He basically said, I want to make Bayonetta 4 and 5. I intend on pitching them to the company. He wants to keep this franchise going forever. And that's totally cool. That's totally fine. In fact, there's something kind of admirable and just sentimental about a franchise lasting that long. Like, think of how many games, well, actually, nowadays it's a lot. I was going to say, like, Final Fantasy is just so numerically achieved, but then in reality, like, Assassin's Creed is also there, and Call of Duty is also there. Far Cry is approaching double digits. We're getting up there with a lot of games. So maybe creativity, maybe unique IP, maybe new ideas. I think Astral Chain was a great one from the Platinum folks. Who knows? Maybe this Bayonetta Origins thing can spawn some new ideas. Nintendo uses Mario in many cool ways. So if Bayonetta 4 and 5 are different, I'm all for it. I also just like, I'm not a big replayer, I'm not a big rewatcher, so I like things to be vastly different or vastly new, or at least a while apart. And to their credit, Bayonetta 2 and 3 were very spaced out, so I'm sure 4 will take a while to come. But you know what else is going to take a while to come? And this is the juicy, crucial story of the day, and I think people aren't reading the subtext here. Okay, so Hogwarts Legacy launches on February 10th, 2023. It's a very anticipated game and a massive Switch port. Very cool that we're getting a Switch version of Hogwarts Legacy, because this game looks, honestly, when I see the trailers, it looks like the biggest game I've seen. Like, yeah, MMOs are bigger, but in terms of like a console-focused type experience, like a single-player game, this looks enormous, insane. So how are they getting it on Switch? Cloud, cartridge, who knows? But now we know something different. All right, today, the fine folks at Warner Brothers announced that Hogwarts Legacy will be launching on PS5 and Xbox Series X on February 10th, but it won't be launching until April 4th for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The last-gen versions have been bumped 2 months to give them extra time to work on the port. And so it would reason that the Switch version would also drop on April 4th, but it's not. The Switch version has been pushed an extra 3 months for a total of a 5-month delay till July 25th, 2023. That means that the game releases February 10th, and then it will be 5.5 months later before it drops on Switch. Now you could say, typical Switch troubles. Dying Light 2 literally never came out. Life is Strange was massively delayed. Midnight Suns is coming sometime undisclosed at 2023, but what is the new common denominator here? Games with great graphical prowess, games with big scope, games that seemingly couldn't fit well on a Switch cartridge are being delayed until this summer. Now, why wasn't the Switch version delayed till April 4th? Now, you could say that they just need even more time. There's different teams on different versions. The Switch one is the most difficult to get together. You could be right, but here is what I am going to hypothesize. Why push beyond April 4th? Well, here's my thinking. Ideally, you'd like to release your other versions close to the main launch date of the game. You put it out on PS5 and Xbox Series X in February. You want the sales bump from the massive install bases of Xbox One and PlayStation 4, so you get it out on April 4th. You'd also love the massive bump from 120 million Switch players, so why not put that on April 4th? What happens in May? May is when The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom drops, and what have I been saying could very easily be tied to that game's launch? The launch of new hardware. Nintendo dropped the Nintendo Switch alongside Zelda Breath of the Wild. Nintendo dropped the freaking Wii alongside Twilight Princess. Nintendo loves to take consoles at the precipice of a Zelda launch and split the game. What if they do it again? That's been my hypothesis for months now, and I feel like some of these third-party delays are in effort to support the stronger system. Hogwarts Legacy doesn't make a lot of sense as a Switch title unless it's a cloud version. And if it's a cloud version, I don't think you need this delay. This delay tells me they want to put this on the Switch, but they don't want to put it April 4th because maybe the Switch they want to put it on ain't out April 4th. If indeed Nintendo intends to launch a new version of the Switch alongside Zelda, like they've used the franchise for in the past, precedent is established even as recent as the Nintendo Switch itself, and the Switch Lite with Link's Awakening. This makes sense. Now you release that new Switch with Zelda, and boy, there's a Zelda boom, so you want to stay out the way. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a big open world title, and who knows what else will launch around that time. But after May rolls out and June, which is typically a very slow month for games, comes to a close, Hogwarts Legacy is ready to roll on July 25th. And hey, that Midnight Suns game that has gotten epic reviews was promised on Switch and then mysteriously delayed till 2023. Well, the other versions came out just a few weeks ago. Where's the Switch version? No set date. Not 2 months later, not 6 weeks later, no set date. Well, if Switch Midnight Suns gets a July release date or a June release date, I am going to hit this one even harder. Because I very much think at this point that these games are being moved in this specific way to navigate around the launch of a more powerful, more useful, easier to port something like Hogwarts Legacy onto platform. It just makes pretty good sense. The only other reason is the super obvious they just don't have time, but you're already delaying 2 months, so why are you splitting this all up in such a strange way? I feel like this has a purpose, and the fact that it gaps around the May launch of Tears of the Kingdom, it just adds up too well. And we know Nintendo has been prepping hardware, whether you want to believe it or not. Those reports from Bloomberg, the comments from developers, the fact that 4K dev kits have been out there, like that is undeniable evidence Nintendo is pushing forward. Whether it's for a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro, who knows, but they are working on it. They dumped oodles of noodles into research and development in recent years. They are pushing forward with a new system at some point. Like that's inevitable. You can't deny that. Video game companies are always working on the next one. And you can choose to believe the conspiracy that the OLED was actually supposed to be the Pro, but due to supply chain issues and chip shortages, they in fact converted it into an OLED. And look, I'm not complaining because the OLED beautifies the Switch. It makes handheld gaming so much more exciting and so much prettier. But you know Nintendo has been eyeing the power gap for a while now. You know that is the one chink in their armor. It's not slowing sales like some people would have you believe. It's in fact the fact that their power is just butt. Like they do not have enough oomph to run these games, and if they want to truly compete with a lot of the third-party titles that are more and more venturing towards the next-gen only era, then they need to beef it up. And Hogwarts Legacy is a game that seems impossible to run on Switch, so this makes sense. Is 4 more months really going to give them the time they need to somehow draw strength out of the Switch? I don't know. I think if it could run on Switch, they'd do it. Square Enix put out Crisis Core today, Final Fantasy VII, and they supposedly looks really good. They made it work. Witcher 3's on the system. Hogwarts Legacy, though, a different beast. This is a PlayStation 5 game at heart. It's now being delayed on PlayStation 4 and last-gen SKUs, and the Switch version mysteriously is in the summertime. So when the summer rolls around and we're all playing Hogwarts Legacy on our Nintendo Switch Pros after we get bored of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for 500 hours, I told you so. I really feel like this is where we're headed and this is what's happening, but we'll wait and see. If there is to be a May hardware launch, I feel like an announcement would tie in a couple months before, which lines up beautifully with a February Direct, whether that's in the Zelda Direct or the General Direct. It would make a lot of sense. You give a nice 3-month lead up, you're ready to go, and you prepare for sort of the second era of Switch. When things are as good as they're going to get, Nintendo just dips even further and pushes themselves to a higher level of fidelity, lovely algorithmic advancement of the graphical engines, and games like Hogwarts Legacy, Midnight Suns, and maybe finally Dying Light 2. What do you think, though? Am I crazy or am I on the right track here? Everyone's just talking about, oh, it's a Switch delay because Switch sucks. What if it's because the Switch actually is awesome and they're just waiting for the right one to release? Let me know your thoughts. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Until next time, people, love you so much. Appreciate you even more. Thanks again. SwitchForce out.